There have been plenty of talk about the Suns and the point guard situation and who's going to set the table and if Devin Booker could do so, if it was Bradley Beal, and all of this fun stuff. And I think I was direct in communicating my thoughts on it, that it would just simply be Devin Booker. We've seen him do it before. We've seen him do it in the playoffs even just last season, especially once Chris Paul went down in the second round against the Denver Nuggets. We saw the Suns win 2 games back-to-back at home after being down in the 0-2 hole early in that series. And a lot of that saw Devin Booker as the primary initiator of just action in general, but especially playmaking out of the pick and roll and using his scoring prowess as an advantage setter for the offense, but also his playmaking blended with that and just manipulating rotations and closeouts and just picking apart a defense from that perspective. So the answer is Devin Booker. He is the point guard. He's been playing point guard a lot the last handful of seasons. Obviously, Chris Paul was there, but especially in the Chris Paul off minutes, Devin Booker was the one that was initiating offense. So he has plenty reps under his belt. And we saw a lot of his growths on display in last night's win over the Golden State Warriors. So let's go ahead and dive into the film on some of Devin Booker's pick and roll reps against the Warriors last night. First play here, we're just going to see, firstly, the space that the Suns, especially Devin Booker, will have to work with in the half court this season is going to be just paramount to almost anything else. Space being enabled to do the many things and be as dynamic as these players can be. And we're going to see him just get, first of all, even before that, before he gets downhill, look at the contact on this screen from Nurkic, getting just enough of Kuminga's hip to enable Devin Booker access downhill without having to navigate it too much as far as worrying about the defender who should be trailing behind him. Devin Booker gets across, and you can see the separation as he curls and comes off of the screen tight. Great job from Devin Booker working in tandem with Nurkic, but Nurkic just being a separator here in pick and roll. Great jobs with his screens last night, and this is just a great example of just that in this still frame. Booker ends up getting downhill, and now because he has Kuminga already back behind him, playing from the backside, thanks to his navigation, but also Nurkic's screen, he's able to dictate to the defense here. Obviously, Looney's in drop. He's protecting the basket. Booker threatens that leverage just enough, gets retreat steps from Kuminga, and now he's able to get into the midi. And all of this is, again, enabled just by the space that he has to work with. Klay Thompson's obviously not stepping over with Eric Gordon there, and that's also not his responsibility. And if you look to Devin Booker's right, who's one pass away? Kevin Durant. Again, Andrew Wiggins isn't even looking to get involved with this action. As you can see, when Devin Booker puts the slow-mo on everything and just slows everything down, there's literally nobody here to even threaten his dribble as he gets into the midi pull-up. And we know that's a layup for him. Next rep here, we're going to see, again, some more solid screen setting from Nurkic. And we're also going to see that tandemized with patience from Devin Booker. So as we see Corey Joseph flip his hips to be directional and pick and roll defensively, trying to keep Devin Booker away from the middle of the floor. Great angle flip here from Nurkic, and look at how he gets into the space before Devin Booker's even there. This is automatic separation here for Devin Booker to get downhill. We see Looney again customarily in drop, and we see Devin Booker again with the hostage dribble enabled by Nurkic as well as his navigating of Nurkic's screen. Gets his initial defender on his backside, and now he's dictating to the defense again. And we see him navigate after Nurkic does a great job with his role, not just popping and standing and watching the action. His role is going to ultimately move Looney away from the basket, and that's going to be kind of like a Gortat screen a little bit here from Nurk. This is just very creative, very subtle. It's not an offensive foul, especially if you don't get caught. And Booker reads it appropriately, discards of Kojo, and he's able to get into the layup. Tough basket. Again, one last thing, the space. Look who's one pass away to his left. No one's getting help there from the corner, especially with Yuta Watanabe being there. And then look to the right. Who's up one pass away over there? It's Kevin Durant. There's no nail help coming out of this, and he's enabled more space than he could even imagine to get into this layup. All right, next up here, we're going to see a high pickup point from Klay Thompson. That's going to obviously result in a high point of the screen here from Nurkic. He does a good job getting into that as they flow out of their elbow action and getting the spread pick and roll. Again, another great screen. Look at the separation that Devin Booker gets getting downhill before he even starts to threaten the defense, he's already putting pressure on it just because of the discarding of the primary defender, the screen navigator for the Warriors. Nurkic just gets him out of there again. Devin Booker comes downhill with a live dribble, putting pressure on the paint, and he's able to attack Saric, gets into the body, creates just enough separation to get up the soft touch finish after again initiating the contact, moving the body. That's a tough basket, but it's all very much fundamental and again enabled by all types of space. We got Eric Gordon one pass away this time. Kevin Durant's in the corner underneath that. Chris Paul doesn't want to help too much because guess who's over there? Who he's responsible for? Eric Gordon. Also, that would be a little bit of overhelp. And Devin Booker is just generally moving too fast with this rep here because of the point of the screen and how distanced away from the basket, and he's able to generate pressure and just moving downhill. It's just tough to guard. And he's getting these drives off of pick and roll. This makes the Suns' offense even more different and even more dynamic. And here we're going to see him get into some pistol action here. I love this little pistol flip that they get into in the third quarter between him and Okogie. They switch it. Well, actually, excuse me, they don't switch this one, but they do a good job of cutting off the angle between Wiggins, taking away that first angle towards the basket, and now they're going to flow into, as Okogie respaces, they're going to get a low angle pick and roll here between Booker and Nurkic again. Another great screen from Nurkic as we still frame it here. And again, because of the spacing and just because of where things were initially, Okogie isn't able to necessarily move Steph Curry. But because the pace that Devin Booker is moving at here, Curry doesn't really even get a chance to decide whether he wants to help or not because the location, the point of the screen is already in the mid-range. Devin Booker gets the screen, he sees drop, he's automatically thinking pull up. No hesitation, and he's able to get that up before Wiggins can fully navigate over a solid screen from Nurkic and before Curry can even get in there to get a contest up either. That's a layup for Book. Another rep, we're going to see a little bit more of the same here. It's going to be a nice reject here from Devin Booker. Reading the defense again, just understanding what's going on, where players are, where he can threaten the defense mostly, and where he can just be an advantage. You can see the way the defense is shifting as I slow this down. He gets the commitment of 4 defenders. So we got the initial defender, obviously, in Wiggins. We got Loon and Drop. We got Moody here. It's going to be a sink man. And we got Steph Curry stepping up to help aid an extra low help. So he gets the reaction out of 4 defenders here. Feels that pressure, is patient, doesn't overreact, doesn't force a pass here to Watanabe. If he wanted to try it, he could have potentially got it there on the 45. Doesn't force it, doesn't rush it. And this is the beauty of having Nurkic in the rotation here. After he does a good job just being there for the screen, he's able to offer the reject to just pop. He respaces, and he's going to end up being wide open because Devin Booker is extremely patient. And that doesn't even see an extra rotation here from Corey Joseph out of that because guess who's there? Eric Gordon at the top of the key. They're going to err on leaving Nurkic open for this shot, and Nurkic is capable of knocking these shots down. It's just a matter of if he does and how often he does. And here he burns them. And that's money. And then next right here, looking at some more Devin Booker's passing, we're going to see him get 2 to the ball, makes a quick decision, getting the ball out of his hands. Before they can fully put the double team on him, Nurkic floats into the perfect space here in the short roll, catches it right above the nail, ultimately ends up landing at the nail. And this is just the value of Nurkic for one. Sees that Looney is now stepping up to the level of the screen rather than up to touch and reverting back. So he flows right into space automatically, perfect. And now understanding of where the help is and processing that extremely quickly and being aided by A, Eric Gordon being spaced to the 4-point line, but B, the ability to cut and the IQ and timing and feel from Josh Okogie. Again, like I tweeted earlier, understanding that he's not the best spacer, so how can he help to manipulate advantages within that spacing that the Suns do have? He's able to get this nice baseline cut here, timed up well off the catch, waits for Steph Curry's attention to be fully commanded from Nurkic as he steps up as a low man. He's able to cut behind the head, thinking that there's going to be a pass to the corner, but Okogie's cutting. That's a reaction advantage for the Suns, and they get a finish here. All just, again, advantage generated from Devin Booker, aided by Nurkic, and finished off with a solid cut and finish at the basket by Josh Okogie. And then next rep, we're going to get into a little bit more of the same here. We see some wide action, good defense here from GP2. You're going to see another very low angle pick and roll taking place with the point of the screen in the mid-range. Devin Booker is going to do a good job navigating over that. That's a great angle set for the screen from Eubanks here. Nurkic is very good with his screens, but so is Eubanks. Look at the separation it creates for Devin Booker. Ends up getting a reaction from Dario Saric. They put 2 to the ball. And look at the eye manipulation here out of pick and roll from Devin Booker as he stretches the rotation for Kuminga, creating this single side tag, this isolated tag here. Plays it with his eyes to where he has to hold the attention of Kuminga on the roll from Eubanks, and then hits Nas Little here with this perfectly timed no-look pass, and just by virtue of him stretching the rotations with his eyes, being patient with his pace, playing out of pick and roll, he's able to get Nas Little wide open. He generates the rotation here and just opens him up. And he does a great job, Nas himself, with the lift from the corner, and they're able to knock down this 3. That's just a lot of Devin Booker's growth and playmaking on display right there. The eye manipulation, the timing, the pace, the control of everything is just really, really good basketball. And then here in the fourth quarter, we got the last 3 reps. We have seen these. We're going to kind of talk about them a little bit more, though. This is just a little bit more of his patience. He sees that Kuminga doesn't necessarily want to rotate over the screen and navigate over too quickly. So he has the wherewithal to threaten his leverage in rejecting. That's going to get him the space to get over the screen, forces him to rotate and navigate over. And then because of that, he's able to hold the attention of Looney, who's in a short drop. Chris Paul, he can see, has 1 foot in the paint here and then commits ultimately to the roll. And the irony of Devin Booker here, burning Chris Paul as a low man. This is something that he watched Chris Paul do for 3 seasons on all types of stages, regular season, playoffs, crunch time, over the course of a game, just manipulating the low man. And it's funny, it's kind of like a passing of the torch in a sense, just to see how much he learned from Chris Paul and how he's ultimately taking the chess moves that he learned from Chris and applying it in real time in this game in crunch time against him. Chris Paul is a low man, waits for him to commit, doesn't go too soon. As you can see him go with this jump pass, a la Tyrese Halliburton. And he's able to, again, just hold the defense enough, creates another long-distance closeout and long-distance dynamic rotation, frees up Okogie for this wide-open 3, and hat tip to Okogie for knocking down the 3-pointer in a game where he was just really, really good from start to finish. That corner 3-pointer is going to be a weapon the Suns have to continue to take advantage of. And they did so, just that right there. And then here we're going to see them flow into some Spain pick and roll. We got an empty side here. So first of all, look at where Kevin Durant is spaced out. He's in his Eric Gordon bag here on the left side of the floor, spaced out from the nail at the 4-point line. There's not going to be any extra attention given from that. And then we got, in addition to that, as they get into the Spain dynamic of it, we got Devin Booker snaking the screen here. That's going to stretch the rotation of Kuminga, but also we got Steph Curry here and Sean recover. Devin Booker processes, sees where the roll is, allows for the roll to develop, knowing that Steph Curry is there, stretches his rotation as much as he possibly can, veering to the left, and then gets this pass quickly over to Eric Gordon, who lifts up from where he initially popped out to after the back screen for Nurkic, and they're able to burn Steph Curry's short recovery rotation all off of Devin Booker's processing and just pacing and understanding of what to do, when to do, and how quickly to do it, understanding what the defense is doing. Eric Gordon knocks down a big-time 3-pointer. And then the captain is off. One more time, we got Devin Booker working the pick and roll. Great screener from Nurkic, creates separation. GP2 peels underneath and tries to roll over to meet Devin Booker on the other side. Devin Booker does a great job taking his scoring prowess again, sucking Looney up, and making another jump pass a la Tyrese Halliburton. Peeks where Chris Paul is to see if he's going to rotate over to the roll man and Nurkic here. Chris Paul is not in the lane. He sees that his both feet are outside the paint. That means that on Nurkic's roll, if his angle is good, he's going to be available to catch this pass in the paint. Devin Booker processes it, hits it, and look at Nurkic getting downhill against 3 smalls from the Golden State Warriors, and he's able to get a finish in. Again, just the patience, the processing of Devin Booker and pick and roll, and just his general feel. He's just playing with so much feel. He's so comfortable in the space that the Suns have enabled him to play with now, in addition to the screening partners he has in Eubanks and, of course, Nurkic, are all going to make for the Suns to have one of the best pick and roll attacks in the NBA this season, and potentially one of the best of all time. all at the forefront of it all is Devin Booker and his continued evolution as a playmaker.